Hey guys, so I'm getting a lot of questions about the market. Is it a good time to buy? Should I wait? I want to wait for the rates to come down. And so I think, this is my opinion, but I think most of the agents I'm talking to are feeling the same way. And most buyers are feeling the same way right now. Pretty much everybody is waiting for rates to come down. So that I get it. It's expensive right now to buy, prices are up. We don't see prices coming down. I mean, I've been doing this 30 years now, and we've watched as we've tracked sales over the years. I think we started tracking them in like the 60s or 70s, and it's like had this gentle incline over the years, and it's never really come down. It shot up in '05 and then it shot back down, but where it shot up from and back down to was about the same. So we've seen prices kind of on this gentle incline, which is generally about 3%, 3.5% a year. And then COVID hit, and we had, obviously the prices went way through the roof, and some are coming down. I mean, every market pretty much across the country right now is in general pretty slow, but there are markets that are not. So it's like you've got the majority that are, but those that aren't, they're still seeing really good sales. I know the Northeast is still seeing really good sales. I have a lot of family in Connecticut. That's a good market there. So it just depends on where you are. And the market can be as small as a street. So if you're looking in a specific market or a specific neighborhood or street that you want to be on, that's what you need to focus on, not the general market, because things shift really quickly. So right now we're gaining inventory, which is great because inventory starts to bring pricing down. But what we're not seeing is we're seeing, the inventory growth, but not like we really need it to bring prices down to where it's really affordable with the rates where they are right now. And honestly, I just don't see the prices coming down that much. Like they're starting to drop, but they're incremental. They're not these big price drops that a lot of buyers, I think, are waiting to see. So we've been in the past, it's always been 6 months of inventory is a balanced market, which means it's balanced for both buyers and sellers. How we calculate months of inventory is based on how many listings are on the market or coming to market versus the absorption rate. Absorption meaning those that are coming off the market, going under contract, and they put those two numbers together to come up with the months of inventory left. So right now in Nashville, in the surrounding areas, most markets I'm looking at are running like 3 to 5 months of inventory. So that's still technically a buyer's market. And another agent friend and I the other day were having this conversation, and we were like, has the norm changed? Like, are we just not going to see, because, it used to be the norm was 60 days on the market before something went pending. 6 months is a buyer or seller balanced market. And now it kind of feels like that's come down, like maybe 3 to 4 months is more of a balanced market versus 6 months of inventory. So that's everything changes. And just because it's the way we've always done it doesn't mean it's still the way it is, because we're still seeing buyers out there buying, not like they were, and obviously, and in some areas we're seeing multiple offers here in Nashville and across the country, but in very specific situations. But we're seeing this. I was in my sales meeting the other day last week, and there's not that many agents in there, maybe 20 or 30 of us or something. And there was quite a few people that were having multiple offer situations. So what it is like those properties that look really good, they've taken really good care of it, they've done a good remodel on it, it's in a great location, and it's priced well, those are seeing multiples. But there's a lot of properties sitting right now at higher prices. And I know, and if you've got the time to wait as a seller, I get it. But because, it's like we hear things going on in the news and what could potentially change and all that. But at the same time, like if you need to sell it, you've got to be priced better right now. And so for you buyers that are out there and you're waiting for the rates to come down, it's like right now, my advice to buyers is be aggressive. Be aggressive. Do your homework. You don't want to lowball somebody that's super unfair and it really, you have nothing to back it up. But right now, when the market shifts, you don't have a lot of comps. You don't have a lot of recent sales that support where the current market is, if that makes sense. So when you're looking at pricing, it's like, well, okay, what was fair maybe now has come down a little bit. And anyways, my advice to people is be aggressive. If you want to buy right now, be aggressive on that price, have an aggressive agent that's not afraid to go after that. And you don't want to be a jerk. I had a guy say to me in an open house the other day, I was like, be aggressive. And he's like, what about an asshole? Can I be an asshole? I was like, well, I wouldn't do that. But don't be afraid to ask for a lower price and stand your ground, because there are a lot of sitting properties right now. Again, like not that many, but it feels like a lot compared to where we've been in the past few years. So on the rate side of it, for those of you that are waiting for those rates to come down, and I know you've probably heard this from a million agents, but it's the truth. If those rates come down enough, it's going to be crazy again. And I hate to use that term with the market, but it's what COVID was. It was crazy. And so if we see rates come down, all these people that are waiting on the fence, they're going to be back in the market. So what does that do? It gives you competition and it gives you less negotiating power. Whereas right now, like you can potentially refinance down the road into a lower rate if it comes back to that. But if not, like you're still going to pay that higher price if you've got competition for the house, which right now you don't have much competition. So that's my take on it. I mean, no pressure for anybody. It's your personal decision. It's your life. It's your money. But if it were me and I were in the market right now, personally, I would be making some aggressive offers. I would be finding those places that I really like and just going after them and supporting my price with some news or some local comps, area comps that support a lower price. But that is kind of hard right now because like I just said, we don't have a lot of recent comps for the market coming down. We have more recent sales of things being a little bit higher. So that can be a little bit hard, but God, just don't be afraid to be aggressive with what's going on right now. Because if you're waiting, like, everybody's waiting and you're all going to be back in the buyer pool again. And it's going to be, we're already seeing multiples. That's why we're seeing multiples, because there's buyers out there and they're waiting for the good stuff. So when a good one comes along that's priced well and looks beautiful in a great location, everybody's wanting it. So it's kind of going to happen again when the rates come down. And we know the rates will eventually come down. And if you watch the news at all, you know that Trump is pressuring Powell to drop that base rate, where our rates are high in this country compared to other countries. And he wants that rate lower to bring back the economy or whatever. We don't need to go into all that. But if he gets his way and the rate gets dropped, yeah, the real estate market is going to change. If you watch the stock market at all, you know what's happening with the stock market. So it's just a lot of moving parts right now. But I feel like I tell my buyers, like, if you are, whatever you're looking for, and if you're an investor, you want to crunch numbers harder for sure. But if you're a buyer, like, buy for your lifestyle. Don't get yourself into a situation where you're stressed and you're overextended financially. Like, just because you're qualified for a certain amount or just because you have the cash for a certain amount doesn't mean you need to necessarily spend all of that to be happy in a place, because quality of life is a lot of elements to create that, and some of that is just being financially very comfortable versus being overextended on something. So I tell buyers, when you're looking, make sure you're finding something that inspires you and you feel good about, but you also financially can afford it and you feel comfortable there too, because nothing's getting cheaper. Like, we really don't see, I mean, inflation can go up and down, but overall things just are not getting cheaper. And I hate to see people overextend themselves for something, to kind of that keeping up with the Joneses mentality. It's not mine. I live pretty minimally, and so I don't want to put my beliefs on anybody else. But that's my advice usually for clients, for my buyer clients, is know what you want, and be open-minded too. That maybe you don't love it going in, but it has the potential for you to love it. Make sure it's something that brings you that peace, both financially and emotionally, not just emotionally, because you don't want to be overextended. And I just feel like there's so much that goes into the buying process, and part of it is a process to figure out where your price point is, where your comfortability is. So getting back to what, is this a good time in the market? That's up to everybody, that's up to each individual based on what you're trying to accomplish. But really, if you're waiting for the rates, I don't know, you're going to have a lot of competition, is what we, almost all of us, see coming, is when those rates drop. Now, again, if the rate drops now, Powell apparently doesn't want to really drop the rate. He'll drop it a little bit, it sounds like, but he's not going to drop it a ton, whereas Trump wants it dropped a whole lot. And Powell's in till May of 26. So that's quite a ways to wait for the rates, where in the meantime, you could be getting a much better deal on a house at a little bit higher rate. And then in a year or so, when the rate comes down, you've got, you can refinance potentially. I never tell anybody you can, but you can potentially refinance and get that lower rate. So there's a lot of moving parts in the market right now, but all I know is there's a lot of homes sitting out there, and some of them aren't even getting showings. And I'm sure those sellers would love an offer. So again, if you guys have any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to me. I am an affiliate broker here with Benchmark Realty in Middle Tennessee, covering the Nashville area. And I would be happy to just answer questions for you. You don't have to use me, but I know it's a nerve-wracking time right now when things are shifting. And that's where we are in the market right now. And so I just wanted to put this out there and let everybody know, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing to buy right now. And Buffett used to always say, I think probably still does, that when everybody else is pulling out, that's when you jump in. That's when the better deals are. I don't know. I kind of agree with that one. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And again, reach out to me with any questions. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.